got my glasses. Hey, it's Spike, and this is Spike Shoots Cars, like the sign said. Today, it's our first episode, so I'm gonna stumble through this and see what we get. The purpose of this channel, I guess, is to look at what I do. I shoot cars, or at least I used to shoot cars. I still shoot cars somewhat, but I used to shoot cars for print magazines, and that industry seems to be waning, if not fading out entirely. I just want to talk about what it is that I do, or still try to do. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a little bit about cameras, a little bit about cars, motorcycles, just anything that I shoot, whether it be for a magazine or for calendars or for my web content, for prints, whatever. We're going to talk about that. So let me go over a little bit about what I use and what are some of my favorite cameras. One of my favorite cameras is the Nikon N90S. It was never a professional model camera. It was pretty much prosumer, I guess you could say, the serious amateur. And I got my first one in 1999, around there. It was my first autofocus camera. Before that, I was using Nikon F2s and different Nikon manual focus, all manual cameras. This was the first time that I had program mode, autofocus, and matrix metering, all kinds of different things that this little camera has. And you can still find them relatively cheap. Most people don't notice these cameras. They're kind of fly under the radar, but they're a workhorse. A lot of guys used a Nikon, either an F4 or an F5 back in that time to shoot professionally, and they usually had one of these as a backup, just because they're workhorses, they're rock solid, hardly ever fail. You can find them cheap, even with the battery pack on the bottom. I always add the grip. It just makes it a little bit easier for me to hold. I kind of got big hands, and it holds more batteries, so more battery life, and it also has a vertical button for when you're shooting vertically. On this camera, I have a 20mm Nikon. I always use Nikon lenses. I always try to use the manufacturer lenses for whatever Canon, whatever you use. Try to use the manufacturer's lenses because they're usually better. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with anything else, but especially digital now. But I always use Nikon, and I like to use prime lenses. And by prime lenses, I mean this is a 20mm. It's not a 22-50. It's just a straight out 20. And what you do is you get to learn everything about that 20. You get to learn its shortcomings, and you get to learn where its strengths are and when to use it and when not to use it. I use it for everything. You're not supposed to use a wide angle for portraits. I do it anyway. Once you learn the rules, you can break the rules. So I've been breaking the rules for a long time. I know what this camera is going to do. I know what this setup's going to do. I have, I think, maybe 10 or 11 of these bodies and grips, and I have 3 different 20mm. They're all the same, and I set them up all the same, and I probably won't ever run out of them. I'm always scared I'm going to run out of N90S's, but and then I always buy another one. So when you like something, buy a few of it, and you'll never be disappointed. This other camera that I have, I use this sometimes. This is 35 millimeter, by the way. I shoot Tri-X, Kodak Tri-X. Different people like T-Max, different people like Ilford makes a good HP5. It's just a matter of what you want to do. I know how this is going to turn out, pretty much. I can pretty much tell how the picture is going to turn out before it's ever developed. So I've been shooting it that long. I have a formula. I stick with it. Find your formula, stick with it. This is black and white. Shoot color, whatever you want. There's still quite a few films out there. Not as many as there used to be, but there's still film out there, and there's still labs out there that can process it if you don't want to do it yourself. I have the ability, and I have all the tools to process my own black and white, and I used to do that years ago. But now it's easier for me. I have a lab 10 minutes from me that's fantastic, that does everything the way I would do it anyway. And it's just easier for me to drop that off and pick it up, you know, in a few days, a week, whatever. And so I trust them. I've been using them for over 20 years. Colorworks in Wilmington, Delaware. Look them up, Superfine Lane, give them a call for your black and white printing. They do digital, they do pretty much anything that you would need. I still shoot 4x5, large format stuff. They still process it. For how long, I don't know. But as long as they keep doing it, I'll keep shooting it. All right, so that's 35. Now we have, this is medium format. And this is a Mamiya Flex C2. It's probably from the 60s. And on top is a Vivitar 283 flash. This is the combination I like to use. And I probably have Tri-X loaded in here too. The 283, the Vivitar 283, I have probably 15 of them. I got a little bit Vivitar 283 problem, as well as a Nikon N90S problem. But I like them. I know what they're going to do. I set it up the same way, and it works for me. It's one less thing I have to worry about. You can worry about composition and you know, other things rather than exposure and everything else. You can worry about focus and whatnot. But this is a neat camera. This is a square format. It's 2 inch by 2 inch, or 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. It uses 120 film, which is still available out there. You can get that. I go to my local camera store just because that's what I've been doing for forever. I always like to support the local camera stores before I go online. You can get it online if you're in a place where you don't have a local camera store that has film still. I'm lucky in the fact that I have a local camera store and I have a local lab. Really lucky. And I have other labs that I can use in the Philadelphia area. I'm outside of Philadelphia, so you know, use local if you can. Support them, because if you don't support them, they're going to be gone, and that's not good. So this is my medium format. It's a square format camera. You look down the viewfinder and you know, composed that way. What you're seeing is probably pretty much what you're getting. When it comes to this, we can go into that later. But I use this when the situation calls for it, or when I have an idea that calls for either square format, or I need a little bit larger than 35 if I'm going to be doing bigger enlargements, or it's going to go you know, into press into a book, or you know, get printed and have a large print. A larger negative, of course, you don't have to enlarge it as much, and it's It's going to be a little bit sharper, a little bit better quality, a little bit better. So, and then you can go up to a larger format. I shoot 4x5 sometimes, a 4" by 5" negative. Totally different camera, totally different way of shooting. You have to know what you're shooting and use the camera that calls for that. Now, when it comes to shooting for magazines, like if I'm shooting a feature car, I use digital. I have to. It's the only way you can keep the cost down, and it's the only way that is easily transferable. If I'm shooting for a magazine in California, I can send them files, I can send them images right over. It's just so much easier. And as far as, you know, post work, you go into Photoshop, you can clean things up a little bit. I still shoot in a film mindset, which means that I think out each frame, and I think of each frame as being film. It's a little bit different way of shooting. I mean, you can just shoot, scatter, or you can shoot like I do. I have to do less work in the end in post-processing when I shoot with a film mindset with digital. So I try to get it, as I say, in the frame. I try to make it so I don't have to manipulate things too much. So that's how I shoot digital still, and because I come from film. I've been shooting since 1979. I got my first 35mm camera, Pentax K1000, which I still have. I still have the same camera. I don't use it as much, but I still have it. But that and the 50mm lens that came with it, which was the standard lens at the time, Prime 50, I learned everything that 50 could do. I kept that on there for a long time. I didn't go with a wide angle, and I didn't go with a telephoto until later on, until I knew everything that 50 could do. That's probably the best way to do it. So, you know, from there I progressed, and I've just been into it ever since 1979. So, I'm going to wrap this one up, make it a little short one, just to give you a brief overview of what this is going to be about. This is going to be about what I shoot, whether it be for a magazine or whether it be for just shooting film for the fun of shooting film. Haven't really found a purpose for it yet. People say do a book. Well, I did a book. Me and a co-author, Joe Allig, and I did a book. It came out in 2012, so 10 years ago. This is 2022. Came out 10 years ago, and around this time, it was pretty awesome. It came out April 15th of 2012. It was not the book we wanted to do. We wanted to do a book on going to Bonneville in hot rods, in old cars, and the trip along the way, and all the things that we encountered, and no publisher would go for that because nobody looks for hot rods in the travel section. It was their thoughts on that. You know, they're the publishers, so they can do what they want. Self-publishing is expensive, and I don't think I want to do that. So I don't have the money to do that. So I'm on a shoestring budget. I'm pretty broke most of the time. What was I getting at? Oh, well, I did a book. So what am I going to use this stuff for? Well, I like to share it with people. I love photography. I love cars. I love hanging out with my friends who are also on the cars. I love photographing them. I love photographing the things we do. I love photographing the people that I meet. It's just incredible, the people that you meet. Famous people, I guess you could call them that. That really doesn't affect me. I like people, and I like photographing. So that all goes together. So we'll see where this goes. I figured I'd make a YouTube channel and you know, share with people what I'm doing and what I'm getting. I shoot a couple rolls a week usually when the weather's nice and there's things to do. Car show season, it's April 2022. Car show season is coming up. I think the first shows were this weekend. I didn't get to go to them, but I have to work. But anyway, I got my hot rod out, I got my Harley out, I got my other toys out, and of course I got my camera loaded with film. But you know, I can share with people what I'm getting in black and white, and possibly teach some people how to shoot film. You know, something that I've always wanted to do. So this is really a kind of last minute rough throw together. I got a lot of editing to do. I'm going to learn that. But anyway, that's it. I will see you next time. I want to do at least one video a week if I can. And if there's anything that people want to talk about, or they want me to show them, or you know, things that they want to show me, photography wise, car wise, you know, we'll see where it goes. It's kind of a fly by the seat of my pants, like I do everything else in life, and see where it ends up. All right, thanks for tuning in. I will see you next time. Spike out. Boop, 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 boop.